everyone, Ivy Gaming here, and today we're playing Watcher of Realms. For today's video, we're going to do a hero guide on Alaura. Let's take a deeper look. Alright, so I already did a video where I broke down both of the heroes' kits that are part of the 10 times, so some of this will be repetitive, of course. I'm definitely going to go through, read the skills again, take a look at everything, her base stats, the awakenings, all of that too. So it's going to be a little bit repetitive if you already watched that, but we are going to take her in and kind of show her role briefly in GR3 and then take a deeper discussion into each area of the game and where she could fit best. So she is let's just read her little thing. An elf archer cloaked in the radiance of holiness, lethal and precise. And just to be clear, guys, we are on the test server, not to be confused with the global servers or the Forerunner server. This is completely different. So it is really nice here to be able to play around with the heroes before they come out and be able to show you guys using them in action. I'm going to try to do so more often. I like to do that with my hero guides, at least a little bit of gameplay. But really, it's less about the actual gameplay and more about the discussion, because at the end of the day, analyzing their kits and figuring out where they could be used, I mean, that's so account dependent as well. Like, just because she's perfect for GR3 doesn't mean you need her for GR3. Or just because you might have, or some people might have a better option, she might be your best option for anywhere you need a marksman. Like, if you don't have a Hatssut, you might find her extra useful, especially for GR3 or Arena or somewhere else. Like, there's a lot to discuss around these heroes, and so much of it is depending on who you already have. But luckily, she's pretty strong, and I think she will be a great value on most accounts. All right, so we have her base stats, or her, yeah, if you want to see her base stats here, not so bad. She does have a good range as well. And then we have invisibility, anti-air, and split attack are kind of her key words. So here's her stats here. Her cost is nice and cheap at only 12. I love that. We love a cheap cost. Really, really great to see. So of course she is a piercer, but she's also in the Watcher faction, which is great. Allows her to pair up with multiple lords. So let's go through and read her skills and kind of analyze how that's going to fit with the lords. So her talent, when the ultimate is not activated, remains in the state of invisibility. That means the entire time you're battling, she can be there just chilling, invisible, attacking people with her basic attack. And yeah, that's pretty impressive alone. I feel like with that in mind, just focusing her basic attack and an extra, maybe a little extra attack speed than most could be really beneficial, making sure she's able to take advantage of her invisibility and not being able to be targeted. Like, that's just so helpful, especially in somewhere like GR3 is the best example. All right, so her ultimate, when triggered, she loses the invisibility state, but each attack changes to 2 strikes in a row, and damage to airborne units increases by 60%. So she can be chilling, waiting for the exact right moment to pop her ultimate and hopefully take out someone quickly. So either way, all of her single target damage can be pretty strong if you build her well. And I love that you actually increase, when she's fully booked here, you increase her damage to airborne units by 60%. That's just extra valuable, of course, in a lot of content where we need marksmen. Alright, so her basic attack deals 120% damage to one enemy, prioritizing airborne units. Again, really good to see. I love when these marksmen prioritize airborne units. I kind of feel like she has maybe a quirky use as, I mean, I don't know. I guess AoE is always better, but if you're limited on good AoE options, could she maybe be used in Guild Wars? I mean, she's invisible. Like, if they bring in a marksman to try to take out your people, she's not going to be able to be attacked. I don't know. That might be something to kind of analyze a little deeper. But Guild Wars is a whole new ball game, and they keep changing it, so lots to figure out. Just started yawning like 100 times. Anyway, her passive increases crit rate by 15%. If there are no allies in the adjacent tiles, increases crit damage by 35%. So she automatically has 15% extra crit rate. So keep that in mind when gearing her. To be honest, I kind of forgot about that when I geared her, so hopefully I have enough crit rate. Her passive scattered shots during the ultimate. For each crit hit landed, deals 80% damage to 2 targets within 1.5 tiles of the initial target. So she actually, this is the split damage. It's kind of like a splash damage, right? So for every crit she's landing, she's going to do extra damage to 2 other targets that are close by. Splash damage, bonus damage, and obviously for each crit means you want to make sure she has 100% crit rate, at least when it comes to adding in this 15% extra. So, oh yeah, I'll have a little over crit cap here. Try to get her 85% crit rate, in other words. My build's pretty simple, not crazy, but decent gear, all things considered. Nothing super OP here. So this is pretty cool. We have 7,000 attack, which is on her right now, which is, you know, try to double the base attack for here at least. My attack speed is way too low. That's the only thing I did not do well for this build, is add attack speed. We should have like plus 150, plus 200 attack speed on her. Maybe I could get rid of some crit rate and make that happen to try to equal it out, and maybe get rid of a little crit damage as well. But I'm not too worried about it for here. We're just going to showcase her a little bit and give you guys the idea and the example of how to use her. So this is not going to be like a GR3 guide. This is going to be a Alaura guide. All right, let's go down to her awakenings. So excess crit rate is converted into equal percentage of crit damage. So this is the good part. Like if you do over crit cap, it's just automatically converted to crit damage. This could be really nice to allow you to use different pieces of gear that maybe you try to swap out normally, but not caring about going over on crit rate and knowing it's going to help your crit damage. That's a really nice Awakening 1 if you happen to get 2 copies. But again, this is only with the Awakening 1, but it's a pretty cool skill, especially if you get something with a really good roll of attack speed and attack, and then crit damage, but you already, or like, yeah, crit rate rolls really high and you don't really need it for the rest compared to the rest of your pieces. We have Awaken 2 with attack, 300. For Awaken 3, crit hits triggered in the invisibility state have a 50% chance to deal additional damage to 2 targets within 1.5 tiles of an initial target. So it's not just the one passive, like it actually makes it even better with her Awaken 3. And then we have a crit rate plus 8%, so even more, allowing you to build her with even less crit rate to make her hit that 100% than needed with her Awakening 4. And then Awakening 5 enhances her ultimate here when in the invisibility state, every 10 crit hits triggered will increase damage by 10% during the next ultimate, stacking up to 3 times. When the ultimate ends, the damage increase will be removed. That's pretty cool. As long as you're critting before you pop your ultimate, you're going to make your ultimate even better. I love that. That's a really interesting kit she has. She really is made for Gear 3. So with that in mind, I did give her this artifact here. Increases damage dealt to the same target by 5% with each consecutive hit up to 3 times. However, this effect will disappear if the hero switches to a different target. I thought this was really nice for trying to take out those targets on the right side in Gear 3 as our best example, because that way she can just single target, simple enough, not using her ultimate. She can go ahead and just keep attacking. Like, she can just attack with her basic attack and increase her damage as she does so and be able to take them out. Now, Idril's Gaze is also perfect for her because you're gonna build her with 100% crit rate because that's where her kit really needs. So dealing crit damage has a chance to ignore 30% of the target's defense. This is probably her best artifact, but because I was actually playing around doing a run and I ended up putting it on Idril's Gaze, I did put on Idril instead of her, though. I think I might actually want to swap this in general if I pull another one, but I kind of need to do some more forging on the test server because I got rid of all my legendary artifacts because we have no space. We desperately need space for artifacts and gear on the account. The test server even more so because I can't even farm for it. But yeah, anyway, that's another story. But just a quick little nod here, guys. You can see on my screen, this is what's already on. The gear swapping is already on the Forerunner server. So here's a quick little teaser of what that looks like. You're going to be able to swap your gear in between people. Like you can send her gear. Like, okay, you're done using her, but you actually want that same set to go on someone else. You can say, okay, let's send that gear to Valkyra. Boom. And it will actually swap the gear, which is really weird how it's swapping. I don't like the idea of swapping. Like, why would you swap one set to another? No, you would just save a preset of gear and then choose when to use it. I definitely don't like their system. I hope they improve it in the future, but hey, it's still pretty cool that this can be seen in game. And I'm fine to show it here for this video because I know people have already been showing it in videos on the Forerunner server. And then just for a quick note, guys, they did mention the Foundry in the Forerunner server. If you're playing on that server, this is going to be where you send the gear. This is going to be where the gear recasting is going to be for recasting your substats. So that's pretty cool. So that's going to be the spot where that is. All right, and then also a quick note on another addition to the that's already come to the Forerunner server, but not everything else yet is enhancement. So let's say you enhance a piece of gear. Look what's above my head. You can, if you enhance it and it goes well, you can immediately lock it or immediately sell it without even having to go back and do that afterward. It pops up. This is really, really nice to make your decision immediately while on the same screen. So this is the extra sell feature being added to gear enhancement. I thought I'd want to quickly show you guys that here while we're on this screen. But all right, back to Alaura. Let's go ahead and talk about where she is going to be used in this game. So, Void Rift. Void Rift is hard, right? Void Rift is hard. And for the most part, you need magic damage dealers. But I do think with some of those stages, like the stuff you see in Chapter 9, even though you need magic damage for a lot of the stuff, you could probably get away with using her as the main like DPS to help take out, or a secondary DPS to help take out the annoying flying units that corrupt the tiles when those ones show up. Because at least she's not going to be getting attacked from them. They hit hard and they start taking out your units really fast. But if she's just chilling using her basic attack, she's going to help take them out as well, but not be a target. So I really like that for some of the stages. But for the most part, because she is not magic damage, she's going to have a little bit yet less use in the Void Rift. Arena, when it comes to Arena, anti-air is of course going to be perfect for her. She prioritizes airborne units. She does extra damage to airborne units with like some of her skills. So she's definitely a solid candidate to throw into Arena. Plus she's invisible. So if you have her on a corner and you're going against someone, and then one of the units goes by that starts attacking, she's not going to be getting attacked if she's only using her basics. So she's definitely solid for air raid or anti-air, but I don't think I would even use her in a single target DPS. That one might be a little harder, but I think kind of this is her best of the Arena. All right, on to the discussion for the gear raids, or all the raids. Promotion raid, of course, you can use her for marksman. That's any marksman is going to be great in the marksman promotion raid. You can pretty much use everybody there. Guild boss. Now, there are some interesting endgame combinations with people using Aracha plus the Piercers for Guild Boss. But I don't really see her kit being perfect for Guild Boss. There's so many other heroes that are so much better. She's more about the airborne units, and her being invisible, unable to be targeted, doesn't really matter for Guild Boss. So that is not her forte. So don't get too excited if you've been starting to work on the idea of bringing an A5 Calypso and your Aracha and a whole bunch of Piercers in, and oh, can she make that team? I don't think so. I'm sorry. All right, Artifact Material Raid. you're really not going to use her. She's not going to do enough damage to be worth putting her on that square, the one square in the harder stages. So probably not, unless you're super, super early and you're just trying to progress to like 12 or 13, you might get away with it. But really, you'd rather have a healer or just use a poisoner like Cuke, Cutter, or Screef instead to get bigger damage. Tide is okay. There's definitely a need for marksman, but you'd probably prefer the marksman that deal AoE damage in Tide. So she'd help, but she's not going to be the best there. Resource raids, again, she's not an AoE hero, so you're not going to bring her into gold raid or experience raid. Before we talk about the gear raids, of course, I will say faction trial. When it comes to the faction trial, I really wish we could see the other boards when they're not open, so I could click the piercer and take a look at it and kind of analyze that and tell you. But yeah, she's obviously going to be okay for the piercer lord one. That one does need actual marksman, so that's fine. I mean, but it's not always that obvious. Like, I kind of was like, oh, you know, Northerners. Oh yeah, Falcia. She's a strong legendary. She'll be fine for the Northerners. But no, she isn't, because she actually has... That's the one with the stupid annoying shields that do extra damage when you, like, touch them or they go by. And Falcia would just die. So just because they're a legendary in that faction doesn't mean they're actually going to be good for the faction trial. That's a quick note there. Alright, gear raids. This is the big one, right? So gear raid 1, you're really looking for AoE damage. So you can definitely get away using marksman in gear raid 1, but you want AoE damage. She's not going to be your answer for gear raid 1. Gear raid 2, same thing. Like, you can certainly use someone like a Maul or a Hatssut there for gear raid 1, but I don't think her little extra splash damage, split damage type stuff is really enough. Or sorry, for gear raid 2. But for gear raid 2, I don't think she's really enough to be the one who's the main DPS on the end to help take out all the other side stuff as they're rolling in. I guess if she crits, she'll do extra damage to enemies that are within the adjacent tiles, but that's not going to clear everything quick enough. So I would definitely say that I would not suggest her for gear raid 2 unless you're just throwing a few extra DPS in to finish off the boss or your very early stages and you're just using what you got. Obviously, gear raid 3 is the answer. She's all about gear raid 3. So before we go in and quick show her there, let me just give a quick shout to the gear sets because we're here on the gear sets. For gear raid 1, obviously attack speed and attack are going to be her best friend. So if you are up to farming stage 19 or higher, the Warlord set is perfect for her. If not, you're just going to go Calamity like you would for most people. Or you could also go the attack speed set Whirlwind if you have really good substats for attack and crit, right? That's okay as well to get a little more attack speed. Don't be like me and forget attack speed on a hero that could actually really use it well. But alright, gear raid 3 here. I guess we could talk about here. This set's pretty solid. It increases attack by 3% and ignores defense. Ignoring defense is great. That would be okay. But I think out of these non-red sets, Night Terror's her best friend. Increases damage by 25% for 3 seconds after making crit hits. And again, her kit just needs to crit. So this is probably her best set to choose from. Besides the obvious of like this guy here. Again, extra crit damage and crit damage +1 after making a crit hit stacks up to 30 times. So you can get up to 60% bonus crit damage from this set, Ageless Wrath, or also just this because she's so good about her basic attack and not using her ultimate and actually just valuing the basic attack and maybe attack speed a bit stronger for some situations. This Infernal Roar is really good for her as well. So that's another shout. If you have really weak gear and you're trying to get more crit rate on her, which shouldn't be too hard because she has a 15% built into her kit, this can give you another 15% as well. And it does affect single target damage, which is what she does. So that's really good. And same thing with single target damage. Actually, I think the Hawkeye launching 5 basic attacks, increasing damage by 25% for 6 seconds is pretty solid for her too. Because she is going to be hopefully attacking a lot again and maybe using her ultimate less than you would compared to other heroes because you want to take advantage of her being invisible. All right, now let's go ahead quickly and I'm just going to show you kind of her role in Gear Raid 19. I'm not going to do a whole run because that's not the point. We're not doing we're not doing a Gear Raid 3-19 stage with Alaura. This is not a showcase for an interesting team with that. Although I think my team can handle it. That I put together that's mostly budget. I just had my other healer that looks OP here, but that's not a big deal. All right, so coming on in here, you're probably going to use Edril and Dolores to get you started. If you don't, I highly suggest it, especially in Edril if she's A5. You're going to put someone else on the podium here, and probably a healer down here, and maybe someone else facing this way. But let's actually show you the value of Alaura. So if you don't have the timing set up to where you can have Edril hop her ultimate and take out the guy over here before the other ones start moving, you might need to put her sooner rather than later. So you pop her here, and normally the second she starts attacking, she'd be getting killed. But she just is able to take out this dude without even getting attacked once, right? That's pretty cool. Now, I'm not worried about what's happening. I'm just trying to show you that value. But that's what she's all about. She can be over here, and the enemies that start coming in at the top, or the one that comes in at the start, she can just chill and start attacking them with her basic attacks. And then as they move toward her, she could pop her ultimate at the end. And that's where she's going to value. That's what's going to be great. That's the same place I use a Hatssut, right? The only difference is, you know, Hattsut's burst damage is just a bit better because of the AoE and it smacks. So I have no fear when they get that second wave with a few different minions, how good that'll be. But depending on your timings, like ideally the very first wave and that one dude who comes out from the right side, if you're good with your timings, Edril's ultimate, especially when she's A5, she can handle that on her own. But depending on your account and depending on your Edril and your gear, you might need some extra help even for that very first one, and that's going to be her. So that is just a really cool thing about her, is that she can just be invisible, sit there and chill, and attack them with her basic attack, which is why if you're pushing the later stages like 21 and 19, if you've already farmed some stage 19 and you can get, let me get out of here. Oh, that challenge again, my bad. And you can get the Infernal Roar set. That's going to be so good for her basic attack to take out those ads before they even start moving. She's going to be such a valuable asset for Gear Raid 3 because of that invisibility. Her kit is just made for it. So that's definitely where she shines. So I think anyone that's kind of progressing through Gear Raid 3 could absolutely use her. But if you've already done stage 21 and you're that's kind of her thing, right? So I could see if you've already done Gear Raid 3 stage 21, that would probably be no reason to pull for her situation because you're already set for farming the highest stage of where she's best at anyway. But I like her overall. I think she's a great value as a marksman. And I'll probably even, if I get her, I'll probably use her a little bit in arena, see how that goes as well. I'm curious about the targeting for these bosses or like the damage taken, if I can use her in any different ways. But yeah, she's a Gear Raid 3 queen, as I said multiple times. So we'll just leave it at that. Hope you guys appreciated this guide and discussion. Hope you can get her and progress your Gear Raid 3. And maybe I'll work on my little team there and actually make a video using her in a full proper run for Gear Raid 3 and showing her through the different stages. But that's for another video, guys. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one. And be sure to join me live for a summoning party this Friday. We're going to be pulling for her and the 1+1, and other content creators have some streams to come, so take a look.